Hello, beautiful people. It's Keyur Katecha, Rehabilitation Case Manager. Today's video message is about how a verse within an ancient Indian scripture and a Chinese proverb helped me get through the months of September and October, which were incredibly difficult and challenging on many levels, which at the time had an acute impact on my well-being. Looking back, I experienced some of the darkest moments that I can remember in a long while that truly took me by surprise. And in a way, I am so glad that I went through what I did, as I learnt a lot about myself. The motions and waves of life can often sweep us away right from under our feet. I was not floating in the ocean of calm that I usually find myself sailing in, and this particular voyage sure was rough and a treacherous one. Over the years, I have worked hard to cultivate the mindset, perspective and attitude, and have adopted effective coping strategies and various hacks and tricks to be resilient during tough and trying times. Or at least I thought I had it all in the bag. Little did I know. Whatever I tried, from reciting to myself the things I was grateful for, to connecting with myself through daily meditation and yoga practice, to listening to my favourite music, which is reggae by the way, to eating my favourite foods, to cycling and going for hikes, to spending time with loved ones and friends, to even watching my favourite David Attenborough documentaries, and even giving myself a break from social media. Now, whatever I did or try, I just could not shift what I was feeling. Absolutely nothing was helping. And then one evening before going to bed, whilst reading a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is an ancient Indian scripture that I'm currently studying, I came across this powerful verse. Physical sensations, cold and heat, pleasure and pain are transient. They come and go, so bear them patiently. And boom, those deep feelings of despair and suffering, all those dark moments suddenly began to disintegrate over a few days, eventually vanishing. So, just what was in that verse that I read? What was it that helped me overturn a couple of months of emotional turbulence in the space of a few days? What was magical about those words? The grand old teaching of the philosophical concept of impermanence. So then, what is impermanence? Impermanence is one of the universal truths of life. It is the nature of our human condition and we cannot escape it. If you Google search what does impermanence mean, it will tell you that it is a state or fact of lasting for only a limited period of time. So by definition, it explains that everything in life comes to an end. Everything in life is temporary. Everything in life passes one way or another. So, on further reflection, when it came to those feelings and emotions that I wasn't enjoying, I was merely judging them as being bad and negative. And so, my understanding of impermanence gave me the hope that they too shall pass. And when I started to feel better in myself, I was judging that something good and positive was happening. Well, I decided at that point that I would not get too ahead of myself, because the notion and the teaching of impermanence taught me that those good and positive emotions too shall pass. Ultimately, the concept of impermanence teaches us is that regardless of how we feel, whether a situation is bad and negative or good and positive, we should appreciate them for what they are whilst they are with us, instead of judging them. Realizing this is so important to construct a balanced perspective of life. So then, why is it that we tend to become very judgmental of our situations as we experience them? Well, when we experience a situation as negative, we naturally want it to pass. But that is because we judge the situation to be negative in the first place. But perhaps what we are experiencing, or the situation we find ourselves, what if perhaps it isn't negative? How do we know that moment, what that moment will bring, or how it will change us, or what it can even awaken in us? So instead, what would happen if we suspended judgment of each moment that we find ourselves in, and then came across a Chinese proverb which may answer this question and help us all when we are faced with times of suffering and despair, or when we make judgments of the moments that we find ourselves in. So here it goes. A farmer gets a horse which soon runs away. A neighbour says, "That's bad news." The farmer replies, "Good news, bad news, who knows?" The horse comes back and brings another horse with him. "Good news," said the neighbour. "Good news, bad news, who knows?" replied the farmer. The farmer gives the second horse to his son, who rides it, and is then thrown off and badly breaks his leg. "So sorry for the bad news," says the concerned neighbour. "Good news, bad news, who knows?" the farmer replies. A week later, the emperor's commanders come and take every able-bodied young man to fight in a war. The farmer's son is spared. What can this teach us? Instead of defaulting to judging the moments and situation we experience as good or bad, maybe there is a chance for us to rest in the question, good news, bad news, who knows? In the grand scheme of things, we never truly know what any moment we find ourselves in means. So perhaps we can train ourselves to say, this just is. This is what is in store for us right now, whether we judge it or not, like it or not, tolerate it or not, it will pass. The Dalai Lama once tweeted, "Awareness of impermanence and appreciation of our human potential will give us a sense of urgency that we must use every precious moment." To all those who have taken a moment to listen to this, thank you. And to all those who are going through a tough time right now, I hope this has helped you and sparks a little smile on your face, however little it may be. If you have any thoughts, feelings or feedback, please feel free to leave a comment below or message me directly. Love, peace, grit and gratitude. Keyur.